everybody. It's Michelle. Welcome back to the Sunday Royal Daily Tea Live. Let me know if y'all can hear me because yes, Michelle is running late. My mom always tells me that I'm always late for my own lives. She has a point. Hi, Missy Lulu. Nice to see y'all. Hi, Jan. Hi, everybody. Hi, Carol. Hi, Revealing. Let me know if y'all can hear me because I have a new mic. Okay. So today I am joined by a very lovely lady by the name of Paula Froelich, and I'm so excited to have you on the show. Welcome, Paula.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So Paula is the entertainment editor for Newsnation. She's on-air personality. She used to run Page 6, and she runs an awesome Substack called The Scoop with Paula Froelich. So if you haven't joined her Substack, what are you doing? Go over to Substack and subscribe to The Scoop with Paula Froelich. Her and Rob Shooter, the best in the business with entertainment news. So, Paula, I wanted to talk to you. You did an amazing expose on Britney Spears.
Oh,
Now,
poor Britney.
I think everyone who grew up in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s was a fan of Britney. And this is just devastating. So, what is going on with Britney Jean?
Well, hopefully she's about to get some real help. I mean, frankly, whether she wants it or not. You know, she had the DUI Wednesday night. She was pulled over, spent the night in jail, a good 9 hours in jail, and was released Thursday morning. And then her rep put out what I thought was a really extraordinary statement saying she's going to get the long overdue help she needs, overdue life changes that need to happen. And I was like, oh, we know what's going to happen now because she's got a court date May 4th. And I don't know about you, but we all have people in our family, if not ourselves, that have gotten into some problems when driving. And because it was a DUI, they are saying, well, she's likely going to go to a rehab or a treatment facility because in order to show the judge she's taking this seriously and to, kind of keep her license and not go to jail, she's probably going to do what happened to a family member of mine, which is check in for a month,
Right.
go to court, come out, and I hate to say the word conservatorship, maybe a conservatorship light, but there will be guardrails put up, which is great because ever since Free Britney, and I can't lie to you, Michelle. I mean, I also thought, what the hell is she doing under a conservatorship? Because she sounded so lucid, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, she was on her meds, and then she gets off her meds, off the conservatorship, and we've all seen what happened in the last couple years, right?
It's
She
not
got
good.
married.
Yeah.
No, she got married to Sam, who I'm not mad at Sam, all right? I know a lot of people are like, oh, Sam. No. Sam took $0 from her. Sam got out of that relationship with a Doberman. That's about
Really?
it. Yes, he got
Okay.
$0. And he also got out of the relationship because after getting off her meds, she became really volatile and
Yeah. Dancing around.
physically and verbally abusive. We saw it in some of the TMZ videos where she was just like screaming at a table and he was like, I have to get out of here. This is insane. But since then, I mean, she hooked up with her housekeeper's son, that guy, Paul Solis.
Is that who he is? Is that her new boyfriend? Because I thought she had a new man because I know she was married and I really thought he was good looking. I liked her husband and people were saying he was shady, this or that. But again, she looked like a handful, right? And then they got divorced. So now she's with her housekeeper's son.
No, they are supposedly broken up. She went on and off with him for like 2 years, and this guy just looked like he smelled like con man. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if he walked in your door, you'd be like, hide the valuables.
Yes.
And this guy was just, he was a deadbeat dad. He had a bunch of stuff going on, but no job. That was not part of the things that was going on. And she ended up kind of dating him, I think, because he was there and he flattered her,
Yeah.
And then they had that big old bust up at the Chateau Marmont. I believe it was
Okay.
last year,
Yeah,
where
she got arrested.
ambulances were called.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
hmm It just got bad. And she went back and forth, but, people stepped in. Her manager was like, come on, come on. Her brother was like, okay, let's try to get this guy out. And
Right.
and I broke the news last year that she was
Mhm.
on edge, and everyone was on edge because of Kevin Federline's autobiography or memoir that was about to come out. And sure enough, it sent her into a spiral. She's still in it, BT dubs.
She never stopped. Like the minute she got out of the conservatorship, she just went balls
Yeah,
to the wall. And it's just so sad because she was
yeah.
like she was a great pop star. And then I guess, I don't know what happened. I guess she was tired of working. I think her parents were a little bit shady
Girl,
and running.
I'll tell you exactly what happened, and I'd like to be completely real
Just
here,
be
and
honest. Just be honest.
everyone can get mad at me.
No.
Um, Brittany was taking advantage from everyone in her life. Now, let's be real clear. I do think she has the intellectual and emotional capacity of a 13-year-old. All right. I've said it
Yeah.
before, I'll say it
Hmm.
again.
Yeah.
Most people's maturity levels stop the age they become famous.
Yeah.
And she's been famous a long time. So, and her parents took advantage. Her sister took advantage. On my YouTube channel, I talked about her PR person took advantage of her. At the
Hmm.
time of her split up with Justin, her PR person was also his PR person and went on, she got her a thing with Diane Sawyer, and the PR person told Diane Sawyer, ask her these questions. The questions that Brittany
It was
later
so
wrote about.
uncomfortable. I felt like she was shaming her, right? Like shaming her, basically. I didn't like that.
No, no one did, but the PR person told Diane to ask those questions and that they were important to ask.
Hmm.
And then soon after that, the PR person split with Brittany and
Yeah.
went with Justin.
Yeah.
It
That
was,
whole thing was weird. And again, I think you're right. They get arrested development when they're child actors because they're just there to perform. They're like perform ponies,
yeah.
and they don't have to do an intellect or a personality. They just do what they're supposed to do.
Or
And
make any real friends.
yeah, and a lot of people said that she has that little baby voice, but she doesn't really talk like that. Like it's a fake voice, almost like that Marilyn Monroe thing they make them do, like the
I
little
can't
kitty.
stand it. Yeah, I call it the
Yeah,
Paris Hilton voice. Paris used to do
yeah,
that all the
yeah,
time, except for when she was mad. She'd be like, can you do that? Shut up now. And you're like, whoa, hey, who is this?
yeah.
What's going on? Why?
So
Yeah.
basically, now you think she's going to be forced into rehab, and she needs to get meds. She needs something.
I
I
think
mean,
I definitely think a treatment plan is in place. I broke that on my Substack, I think 3 or 4 days ago. Yeah, or right out on Thursday, actually. I don't even know what day it is. I mean,
yeah,
thank you, time change. But right after I broke it on my Substack that she was headed for a treatment program, which means rehab, AA, NA, whatnot, and
mhm.
who can say? Because she's on something.
Yeah, she is. She is definitely on something. So hopefully she'll get help. But
Mm,
it's just
mm.
people have been watching her for years unravel, and she probably did need a conservatorship, but not with her father. He was getting the money. I don't think he
Well,
cared about her.
let's get into that for a minute
Yeah.
because I agree it should never have been her father. It's too close, but her father only got 60 grand a year for that. And that was a full-time
Really?
job. Uh-huh.
I thought he
He
was getting
did not earn buckets of cash like the rumors. 60K after taxes, that's around 40K. The guy lives in a trailer. All right. Like he was portrayed as this huge monster, all that other stuff. So he's not going anywhere near this, right? The whole family is freaking out. But Jamie did not make a ton of money, nor did he siphon the money like people thought he did.
Oh,
Absolutely
okay.
not. Now they're saying there are some claims that maybe her business manager did, but that's a different thing.
Right.
Jamie, no, he broke as a joke. and living in a trailer, and didn't live high on the hog. He was never out buying cars, never doing any of this stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Brittany has always said, I want to, you know, somebody here just commented wants to live in the English countryside. Girl, she would last 2 hot seconds in the English countryside. It would not be good for her.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah. And
sometimes it's like Buckaroo Banzai. Wherever you go, there you are. You want to be anywhere but here, but yourself still follows you around. It's a little bit like that.
awesome. Hi, Sidley twins. Hi, revealing. Got quite a few people here. Hello, hello. Everyone's happy to see you here. So, tell me about Timothée Chalamet. What the hell is going
Girl, the
on?
shamalama ding dong. I have never liked him. You know, the guy who's got the sexy rat look.
Mhm.
Um,
The sexy
this
rat.
guy, this guy lost me completely. I never liked him, but he lost me completely last year in the Oscar run-up for A Complete Unknown. When he was like, I'm the best, I'm just the greatest. I mean, I spent 5 years of my life on this. Come on, like I deserve this. And you're like,
Right.
God, you're such a jerk, you know? And then this year, he kind of changed his tack a little bit. He's got different
Mhm.
people leading his Oscar campaign, including, you know, some side advice from Kris Jenner. But it's
Really?
still, I mean, he still gives me the absolute ick. This guy did an interview where he came off so goddamn badly. First of all, it was with a member of the Hollywood Foreign Press who are very amenable. All right, we'll just say that. And in the interview, he said a bunch of nonsense garbage. All right. He was like, I'm the greatest. I'll have to pull the interview up to quote him directly, but it
Right.
is a jaw dropper. And it was so bad. And the feedback was so bad. He compared himself to like Michael Jordan. He
Mhm.
compared, you know, like all this crazy stuff. And it was so bad that people were just like, you know what? Mm-mm. And he called up and got the reporter to take the interview down. Now, I'm going to pull up this quote because y'all need to hear this. It
Right.
was bonkers. He said, this is a quote. Hold on. Marty Supreme is probably my best performance. It's been 7, 8 years that I've been handing in really, really committed, top of the line performances. By the way, this guy is 30. Ugh. And I think it's important to say that. I think it's important to say that because of the discipline and work ethics that I bring to these movies. I don't
Mhm.
want people to take that for granted. I don't want to take that for granted. It's really the best. Ugh. A
Yeah.
30-year-old guy, you just, I mean, like,
30? I thought he was like 25. Oh my
girl,
God.
no, he's 30. He looks like he's 25, which doesn't say much. But it's literally one of these things where the reaction to that interview was so bad, Margaret took it down. However, of course, as you and I both know, everything lives forever on the interwebs.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I found a copy of it, and I'm doing a big piece in the Times of London for it,
Mhm.
and it'll come out tomorrow or Tuesday
Awesome.
about how he just gives people the ick. And then this is completely bonkers. In February, he did like a variety CNN town hall with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
Where,
Matthew.
yeah, I love Matthew too. And I love him even more after this because the video, you know, Timothy's just being this narcissistic, vainglorious thing going, you
Right.
know, I mean, opera, ballet. I mean, no one cares about them. It's like a dying art form. Matthew's face, the camera pans to Matthew McConaughey's face, and he's like, like, y'all could feel the daggers. And so, what I'm confused about is this interview was done in February, right before Oscar ballots, but it didn't come
Yeah.
out on the internet until Friday. All right.
Wow.
So, yeah, so Oscar voters didn't get to see this. Had they seen it, there's no way in Sam hell the sexy rat would have won an Oscar because right now his Oscar chances plummeted. Michael B. Jordan is back up,
Mhm.
but no, and everyone, including the Met, Western Australia, Like ballet company, opera
Oh,
companies,
no.
ballet companies around the world are weighing in and slapping him down. So I
Yeah.
think he still may have a shot at the Oscar, but he better hold on to that tight because I doubt that will happen again.
Well, aren't the votes already in, so they can't change it
Hmm.
if you won? Yeah, and the whole thing is just a
Nope.
campaign, right? It's just a PR campaign. It has nothing to do with talent. It's just who can get the
Yep.
most votes, basically. I don't even know who he's up against, to be honest. So I think when Rob Shooter is coming back next week, I think we're going to
Mm.
get more into like the Oscars and like what's happening. But
Well,
didn't he?
he's up against Leonardo DiCaprio,
Is
Ethan
he?
Hawke,
Okay.
and Michael B. Jordan, right?
Okay.
And the problem is, I think a lot of people did get the ick. Like he trotted out Kylie Jenner for a couple of things, like the
Yeah.
Golden Globes, which is kind of the haha event, right? But for
Yeah.
the big event, the serious event, he took his mother, the SAG-AFTRA
Which
Awards,
is this
right?
lady right here. Yeah.
Because Oscar voters don't like the Kardashians. They think they're trashy, they're not real,
Right.
whatever. And so for the celebrity events and to get a lot of press from tabloids, he trots out Kylie. For the serious stuff, he brings his mother. And
Oh,
it all
okay.
just seems so calculated and kind of gross to me. And you're just like, God, this kid, he's another one. He went to LaGuardia School of the Arts right down the road here, which
Really?
ironically is across the street from Lincoln Center and the opera and the
Oh,
ballet.
how funny.
And he has been adored and had his little butt kissed since
Right.
he was about 12 years old. And again, you cannot, he's just enough, you know?
Well, the funny thing is I saw him in a movie, I think it was called The King or The Young King. This was like
Mm,
7 or 8 years ago, and he was actually a really good actor. I was very impressed with him. Of course, I'd
hmm
never seen any of his interviews. When he was talking, I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
stop
I mean,
talking."
listen, yes, of course he's a good actor. He's nominated for a reason, and people want to work with him for a reason. But goddamn, check your jerk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not helping himself. He's not endearing himself, especially when people have spent
Mm,
years and years perfecting their craft, and they have this little kid up there who's
hmm
getting it to the big leagues. So maybe he'll have an upset. People were saying that he was snubbed at the AFRA Awards,
At the
of the
BAFTA,
BAFTA.
yeah.
And isn't that a kind of a telling? If he did he win the Golden Globe?
He did win the Golden Globe. He won the SAG. That is more SAG is more telling than BAFTAs because BAFTAs are the British awards and they always usually go with the Brit people. But
Okay.
also the BAFTAs are more intellectually complete, if you will. I mean, here's this vainglorious narcissist playing a vainglorious narcissist ping pong player. It's not that much of a stretch, if you would. And
So, yeah.
I mean, I saw Marty Supreme. I was like, oh, God. I
Oh,
was
you saw the
annoyed.
movie? What was your
I
take on
did.
the movie? What was your take on it? Did you like it? Did you think
Not
he
that much.
deserves an Oscar?
No, no, I don't. I thought he was a jerk. And I also was like, I'm not a huge fan of the Safdie brothers who foisted Julia Fox on all of us, with Uncut Gems. But I just, I was like, this movie was clearly all about, like the
Yeah,
dude. Like women were treated like dog shit in that movie. And I was just like, oh boy.
I heard
Yeah.
that Gwyneth Paltrow didn't even go to the Golden Globes. Like,
Of
she didn't
course,
even
I wouldn't have. I
seen in
wouldn't
the
have if I were
movie.
her.
Yeah. Blue Rose says he couldn't even, get his mother a decent dress.
I
Hopefully for the
know.
Oscar. So I guess he's taking his mother, right? Is gonna be his date and not Kylie Jenner?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna lay money that he's taking his mother, but if you take a date to the Oscars, it better have a ring with it, and I don't think they're ready for that.
Right?
But in defense of Timothy on his mother's dress, she is a grown-ass woman and can pick her own dress. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you, Blue Rose. I'm
Well,
not a fan of it. That's all right though. You
that's
know,
right. That's right.
it's
So,
it looks like a picnic dress.
okay. So, what in the world is going on here with Harry and Meghan? It's like they have cooties in
Yeah,
Hollywood. I mean, nobody wants to touch them.
yeah.
Spotify dumped them. Netflix has pretty much said, look, we're done here, right? They're getting out of the candle making business. They don't want your damn bookmark. They're literally telling the world it's over. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well, I love that Megan's spin on this is like, it was
Yeah.
my decision. They just wanted to move too slow and we want to go fast. And you're like, what's that I smell? Oh, I think you know what I smell. You know, like, I was
BS.
like, girl, you're making candles with no wicks. You're
Yeah.
making flat pancakes you want to call crepes, which she discontinued, BT dubs. Like, I remember breaking the story that all of a sudden shortbread cookies and crepes were off the menu, with
Right.
no
Right.
fanfare. They just disappeared.
Yeah.
And she's making a bunch of teas and mulling crap. And you're like, what is going on? You're literally selling the most expensive honey that bees have ever produced, the most expensive fruit spreads, not even jams,
Yeah.
and the
It's
most expensive teas. Like, I could actually amortize this by flying to India myself, picking the Darjeeling buds first round and flying back and selling them to my friends, and it would be cheaper than
yeah.
Megan's.
Yes.
It's
Yeah. She raised the price
ridiculous.
30%. Instead of lowering the price, she's raised her price. Like her bookmark, the original one was 18. Then she came out a month later and it's $20. So somehow it got $2 in value. And then she did the scarcity thing where she sold out the bookmark. But hey, if you buy $64 worth of honey, you can get the bookmark, which is hilarious. But no one is buying it. No one's buying it. So
No.
I think it
And
was
in
pretty
fact,
obvious that Netflix was out, right? It was pretty obvious.
well, also, here's the deal. She raised the bookmark price, but now it's bundled into all these other things like Sip and Sigh, like
Yeah.
bundles of like this and this, and all the
Yeah.
bundles are cut rate, So God bless, go with God. Of course, she wants to go international because,
Yeah.
they had this whole thing where it was like her website traffic is through the roof. And you're like, not really compared to last year, but also, of course it is. We all get those emails, saying, we've got this new bundle out, but they don't give prices. So to check the price, you have to click it, which goes to the website. And
Mhm.
only 30% of the traffic comes from the United States. So
Exactly.
her thinking is, I'm going to sell 70% more product, but they're not giving us the sell-through rate, like visits
Right.
visits a purchase. So,
Exactly.
listen, go with God, girl. But I also broke the news on my site that the reason why Netflix hasn't gone forward with her other stuff, like the movie Meet Me at the Lake or
Mhm.
the wedding date, which is just a ridiculous Hallmark knockoff, is that she wants to direct. She's
Yes.
really into micromanaging. She really wants, well, this will be my new career. This didn't work. This didn't work. Now I'll do this. And instead of doing what the rest of us do, which if something doesn't work, you look back on it, you analyze it, you think, why didn't this work? Nope, well, it wasn't for me. It's this Montecito Lala thinking of like, the
Yeah.
universe is going to strike my way. And, according to reports, she also has an Australian astrologer who told her that
Oh,
indeed this was going to be her year, as opposed to last year, which was also, mind
per
you,
year.
supposed to be her year. So,
Yeah, I found that a lot of royals and Hollywood people, they do consult, astrology, like for the King Charles's coronation and for Queen Elizabeth's, they map it
mhm.
out during a time supposed to be a good time to do it, aligning with the stars. Hey, get all the luck you can get, is what I
I
say.
I'm
Do
with
what
you on that. And by the way, I'm no
you do.
hypocrite. I got a friend who's an
Yeah,
astrologer.
yeah.
I've
I
seen some
no, no,
psychics before for giggles,
yep,
but I am not marking my calendar on that
right.
stuff.
But
You know?
Megan, she channels Diana. So shouldn't she
Oh,
just consult Diana and Diana would tell her if it's her year? I mean, she's got a direct
mm,
line to Princess Diana, right? She's a medium,
yeah.
apparently.
Well,
I'm
I don't know
surprised
if she
Megan isn't
channels
doing
her
readings.
so much. I don't
Yeah,
know if she channels her so much as just desperately tries to remind her husband that she's Diana like.
yeah,
It's very Oedipal, a lot of this stuff going on. It's like when your husband has an obsession with mother, become mother. It's
exactly. So the
Mm-mm.
astrologer is telling her that this is her year because last year was a dumpster fire. It was supposed to be her year, but it was a dumpster fire. I mean, it was the gift that kept on giving for us. I mean, you kept us
Yes.
busy. And again, we're in March, we're almost in April, and now it has been announced that they're heading over to Australia because
Mm.
going to Jordan wasn't enough. That was a disaster
No,
on its own. Going to Jordan, I mean, that was a major mess up right there. And now
girl,
they're going to Australia.
I'm just wondering at this point, at this rate, are they going to do one fake royal tour a month? I mean, Jordan was in March,
Yeah.
right? March or
Right.
yes.
Or February.
Again, I'm not
February.
sure
I
of
mean,
the
we don't
date, you
even know what day it
guys.
is. I think it was February, girl. I know. Look,
February.
daylight savings times, give us a break. Okay. I haven't even had coffee. We don't know what day it is. Okay. I think it was February.
I'm
Girl,
even later
I,
than you,
I
and I'm still chugging this.
you know,
But
give us a break. Okay.
And Jordan, it was like, a lot of that was a disaster, frankly. They met up with a charity that had praised Hamas. They met up with the UNRWA, which has had 11 members fired
Mhm.
after they was proven they actively took part in October 7th massacre.
Wow.
And you're just kind of like, you guys, wow. And it was so bad that
Yeah.
they go over and the royal Jordanian family was like, yeah, no, we're not taking part of this. We'll send you an aunt that nobody knows.
Right.
Here's an aunt.
Right.
They were greeted by the British ambassador first, and then later the British government had to apologize for that
Yeah.
because again, they're not royal. They chose
Right.
not to be, but like little children, anyone who's had to deal with little children, you say no to them, and the
Right.
kids are still going to keep pushing, right?
That's
Because
right.
they want what they want. And now they're going over to Australia. And you know what? Go with God because Australia, their popularity has plummeted. When
Mhm.
they went back in 2018 for the actual royal tour, she was pregnant. She did the no one's really asked me how I felt kind of
Right.
thing.
Mhm.
And they were more popular than William and Catherine. And right now, according to polls from coming out of Australia, they're
Mhm.
less popular than Camilla,
Really?
which,
Okay.
yeah,
And poor Camilla, we haven't really seen a lot of her lately. I think she's kind of been keeping a little bit of a lower profile
yeah.
lately.
Hmm.
So I think this was when they were in Australia the first time. This picture here, when
Oh,
she was
yeah.
popular, I think it was right after or right when they first announced her
Hmm.
pregnancy, I believe.
Yep.
So, and a lot of people, like someone said in Australia, they don't want her there. And we know that William and Catherine were actually invited to go to Australia. So, don't you find it kind of odd that of all the places they decided we're going to go to Australia now?
Yeah. No, I don't find it odd at all. I just want to
Yeah,
know who's paying for it. And I'm betting it's probably the Australian Tourism Board or, there's because these two don't like to pay for nothing. They got a lot in common with the York family on that, if you know what I mean. They don't like to expend their own cash. But it's just, they also, Meghan has also been accused of not only copying Diana, but Catherine in her dress. She's very competitive with Catherine, hated having to curtsy to Catherine. And of course, Catherine and William were invited. So whoops, we're gonna get there first. It's just it's tacky as hell, like woo. I yeah.
well, wasn't there a big to do that they actually stayed in the same hotel as William and
Hmm.
Catherine, their favorite place in Jordan? And it
Yep.
was a big faux pas. They weren't supposed to do that because that's really meant for royals.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
believe some huge thing, and they caused a big stink. Uh,
3,500 bucks a night, which they
wow.
didn't pay for. They
Yeah.
were
Who
there
paid for
courtesy of the
it? Who
World
paid for
Health
it?
Organization.
Oh, so
Um,
the Who probably paid for it.
of
That's
course
probably
they
who.
did. Of
Yeah.
course they did. But the other thing is, it seems to me like their latest pivot has because last year she was like, I'm gonna be a fashionista, and everyone was
Yeah.
like, get out.
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna be the cooking queen domestic, and everyone's like, no, thank you. And now it's like we're gonna be world charitable couple. But
Mhm.
here's the deal, Michelle, charity starts at home,
Yeah.
and I know they live in Montecito. It's a gazillion-dollar place, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has $30 million homes and all this, but 20 minutes away in East Santa Barbara, you got a lot of people who need a lot of help and are living on or below the
Right.
poverty line.
Mhm.
So instead of just trotting your kids out to a food kitchen once a year on Thanksgiving, why are you not going on a regular basis? Harry should be doing volunteer firefighter work because, as we saw, that area has a lot of wildfires. And instead of doing disaster tourism and just being like, hi guys, your home burned down, we're here for a hug, you're like, no, dude, you could have actually been involved. And they were
Right.
shocked that people called them, like Justine Bateman called them disaster tourists. And
Disaster
you're like,
tourists.
you're
Yep.
like, but you are, because honestly, these things are right down the road. Y'all could be involved with them at
Mhm.
any time. You choose not
Right.
to because the cameras aren't there.
Grief goals. And the thing that was disgusting was when she was in
Hmm.
Jordan with that poor girl who was in the bed, burned, yet she couldn't go to the Philippines to see her own father who had his leg
Girl.
amputated. And then she wants to preach about kindness and philanthropy. And we're like you said, it
Yeah.
starts at home. We're looking at your example of how you treat your family.
Hmm.
Don't teach to us. It doesn't make any sense. It's disgusting. And again,
Hmm.
bringing their kids into the family business, like they said with the Archwell Philanthropies, they want to bring Archie and Lily because I believe they're
Yeah.
so jealous of the Welleses and their kids.
Yeah.
They're going to start slumping little Archie and little Lily. I mean, we already got a half face view. I mean, it's getting desperate. I have a feeling in 2027, if not sooner, it's going to be the year of exposing her kids because if Ad Ever's in the toilet, they're not
Girl,
getting a Netflix deal. What do they have left?
you
Right?
can notice, now this is horrible, but it's true. You'll
Mhm.
notice that the less popular they become, the more they show of Lily's
Yes.
face. So when they were really popular, they just showed the
Yeah.
back of her head
Right?
or a heart over the face, and then
Yeah.
it was a quarter face, then it was half a face, now it's a three-quarter, and you're just
Right.
like, and they also don't understand that they're actually acting like complete hypocrites. Harry will go and get paid 50 grand or whatever it is for a speech on privacy and lecture people on how they shouldn't put their kids up on social media. And oop, a
Right.
day later, there's his wife doing that.
Very much a
Oh,
hypocrite.
thank you. I think I look like Catherine Pulaski on Star Trek.
Yeah. Look at you,
Mm,
man.
mm,
uh,
made my day.
I
I'm a
mean,
Trekkie.
smart and beautiful. Look at her. Uh, yeah, so there's such hypocrites, and I think that has contributed to
Yeah.
their not being popular. I mean, her whole thing with her Netflix cooking show didn't even film it in her house.
Nope.
People she didn't even know who weren't her friends had to hire her employees, like her makeup artist, to come be in her kitchen.
Yes.
And then the thing that was interesting was, like I said before, on her holiday special, she was talking about Doria making this gumbo for Christmas, which I don't think anyone actually believes. But then they see, like, the B-roll of Doria walking in some random field, never comes on the show to cook with her. I'm like, wouldn't that been the moment to have the mom and daughter cooking the gumbo together?
Thank
Instead,
you.
that chef, and he looks mortified.
Well,
He's
and
not
also, by the way, Harry's like, I
good.
prefer your mom's gumbo. Basically, stop cooking,
Yeah,
wife.
yeah, yeah,
But it's also insane because, she's like, it's a holiday special. You're like, dude, this
yeah,
was shot like over a year ago because it also features your
yeah.
dead dog guy.
Yeah,
Like,
that dog was like there. He was like the ghost of Christmas past. That thing showed up so many times. I'm like,
oh,
isn't he dead? Didn't he die 6 months ago? Why is he always showing up in the
I,
video?
I
It
wrote
was,
the exclusive before the first season even came out. And the exclusive was Netflix is done with her. I
yes.
had all these people calling me being like, "Oh God, we're done. We're done." And she's like,
Hmm.
"No, we're not. We're doing a second season." And everyone was like,
Yeah.
"See, Paula." And I was like, "It's not a second season. They're
Right.
dumping episodes to basically try to recoup as much money as they can,
Mhm.
and
Right.
whatever loss they'll take off taxes." So,
See, guys,
you
she's
know,
the one who broke the story. She did.
A
And
year ago.
a year
I
ago,
mean,
we've been singing with the preaching the choir. We've been talking about it as well. Where I was talking about that they were done, but then they kept extending it to save face. And Ted
mm-hmm.
Sarantos was just doing Hollywood talk. I go, Megan's a rock star. She's not a rock
Of
star. He knew it.
course.
He couldn't admit it, and they were just trying to
Oh no, by the way,
make it look good.
he couldn't admit it because of business reasons. Do we
Exactly.
think they're ever going to hang out again? Probably not. But
Yeah.
also, the spin that her teams, because she's gone through multiple teams, the spin
Yeah.
that her teams kept spinning is also something where when we look at this latest announcement, you're like, oh, more spin. It's all, fool me once, shame on me,
Right.
shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Try to
Mhm.
fool me 11 times, girl. No, I'm exhausted with you. And also,
Yeah.
stop it with the Montecito Oprah gobbledygook speak. Like
Word
just
salad.
try to talk like a real person. Huh?
That's the thing that she loses people. Like she can't answer a simple question and she kind of goes around and around in a circle and it makes no sense.
Mm.
People just immediately tune out from her. Their BS meter goes off. But let me ask you a question.
Yep.
What the hell is going on with WME? I mean, she was with the biggest agent in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that guy has left the building. Again, he's the most silent partner we've ever heard. He's like Casper the Friendly Ghost, much like Netflix. Those people were so silent
Well,
they weren't even in the same room.
let
What
me
the
tell
hell
you,
is going
let me
on?
tell you what happened.
Yeah.
All right. She
Okay.
left her longtime agency UTA because they weren't the biggest and the best.
Right.
And she had interviews at WME and CAA, the two biggest agencies in Hollywood. And she
Mhm.
had meetings with the top brass. So at CAA, she had meetings with like Brian Lord and Kevin Huvane, who passed, by the way. They were like, yeah, we're not interested. She then went to WME and had meetings with Ari Emanuel, the billionaire owner, whose brother may or may not be running for president. And Ari was like, yeah, we could do something with this. So she got her own team of agents under him because Ari is the big head, right? However, I also broke the story. Ari couldn't stand her, and they were like, oh my God. Later, it was confirmed by Page Six that Ari won't be in a room with her and was like, no, she's so bad, we're done. She has the lesser agents now dealing with her. And here's the deal. I feel bad for them. What can you do with that? You've got a woman who once told the world and preached, and I quote, if you're not going to give something 5 years, don't give it 5 minutes. And then promptly left the royal household after 2 years, then promptly pivoted off of all of these other things. Meanwhile, along the way, you had people at Spotify calling her a grifter, her and Harry a grifter. They didn't really want to work, but expected all this cash. And, I think God bless. But when the head of the company don't want to deal with you, you're up a creek.
So this Netflix deal has got to be a huge blow because I mean Netflix right now is king. They're the giant in Hollywood, right? Because
Yeah.
the studios are dying. They're all getting bought out. No one has money. They're not making those big movies anymore. They're not doing as well as they used to do. Netflix is kind of like the big dog in town. And if Netflix doesn't want you, do you think Hulu or Amazon? I mean, what exactly? Where are they going to go? There's nowhere
So
else to go.
there has been some gossip that like Kris Kardashian's trying to get them a deal at Hulu. No. First of all, they still have a first look deal at Netflix, and that deal is only in place because Netflix is securing any rights to any Diana bio that may come up. All right. Whatever else they do, they don't care. But the problem, the other stream that they have with other streamers is they already showed their best. Okay. And their best was dog vomit. So why would anyone else give up millions of dollars to these two who don't have a sense of either story, community, or frankly, the American public? There's that documentary that she was involved with that she executive produced, Cookie Queens. It still has not been sold. So you'd think that if another streamer wanted to get in business with her, they might have snapped that up, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. And the lady who made the movie has actually in the past sold a documentary that did very well on another network, but
Hmm.
apparently nobody is really digging the Cookie Queens because the other network didn't want her. No one bought it. Again, documentaries are, I guess, they're harder sell than other things. Nobody
Well,
wants to go to a movie theater and watch Cookie Queens.
a
Nobody.
friend of mine has won many Oscars for
Oh,
documentaries. And let me
okay.
tell you, yes, it's hard, but it's just as hard for scripted right now. All
Yeah,
right. And the problem that the actual producer of Cookie Queens made was getting into bed with Meghan and Harry, assuming, as many other have, that all press is good press and that they had a deal with Netflix so then their documentary would be sold to Netflix. And unfortunately, I
right.
think they kind of, screwed the pooch a bit by bringing them on.
Yeah, yes.
It would have
And then
been,
Megan given the speech
girl,
before the
it would have
director.
been,
That was so embarrassing. I mean, there was 28 producers and Megan was the only one who spoke, not even Harry, before the director. I think the director really thought that Megan and
Mhm.
Harry were going to get her into Netflix, but
a
she realized this is the
100%.
worst time. This is the worst time. They're on the way out, right?
Hmm.
So,
So while people have put out there that, other streamers are talking, I'm sure conversations are going on. Why not have the conversation? It's an expensed lunch, okay? Why
right,
not have a great lunch and expense it back to the company? But do I think that anyone's going to offer them a big old deal? No.
right.
When
No,
you have Spotify slamming you, when you showed your best to Netflix, and it was dog vomit, then when you did a season of a podcast for Limonada, and that's not going anywhere either. That
it
was
got
another good
sold.
spin.
They're sold. I mean, we don't even
I mean,
know who owns Lemonada now. It's
well,
not even women owned anymore.
not only that, but it didn't do that. Confessions of a
No,
Female Founder,
no.
girl, no. Talking about all the lessons I've learned. I love it when I fail because I learn things.
Yeah.
Girl, please stop it, Pollyanna. We see right through you. Not
I
to mention, you don't have seasons of a podcast. It's just something you keep doing on the
Exactly.
regular.
I had a business podcast with 100 episodes, working a full-time job and no one listened to it, but hey, I
Just
had one.
a
Um,
season.
a season. Yeah, I mean, but she barely did any episodes and she had like 28 people doing all the
Yeah,
heavy lifting on her team. And she's a famous person and she still couldn't get it, all the way to the end, which I thought was
yeah.
extremely interesting. So, have you heard anything? We're going to go to the Royals really quickly about
Mm-hmm.
Fergie. Where the hell is Fergie? She's hiding out. Where is
All
this one?
right. Let's talk about Fergie's couch surfing because that's
Okay.
exactly what's been happening. All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
She first spent the month of January at the world's most expensive wellness clinic, Paracelsus, in Switzerland. And that, which by the way, costs like 17 grand a night, that was for free because she's done work for them, aka she did a huge spread in the Telegraph in London about mental health and her stay at Paracelsus. So they returned the favor. She spent January there. Then she went to the Middle East because we know the Middle East don't care if you're a scumbag or not. And she went and met up with Eugenie at Art Basel, Qatar. Then she was in Abu Dhabi. Then she was rumored to be at her family's home of Pentwood in Ireland, right next door to yet another spa, because while you're couch surfing, why not get a massage? You know, and at this point, I think she's just trying to lay low. That girl does not want to talk to no cops. She does not want to be arrested. And she's just like, hey,
Right.
who's got a jet? Who's got a
Yeah.
who's got a
I mean,
couch?
Megan wishes
And
she could be Fergie. I mean, that woman is the queen of mooching. She could teach a class on how to mooch, right? So here's the thing. Here's a new story. So Eugenie basically started a charity about
sex
trafficking,
trafficking victims. Yeah,
trafficking, and she had to step down today. Which I
mhm.
mean, let's be honest, it's not a good look when your father is a philanderer, hanging out with a scuzzy guy, and you're
Yeah.
talking about human trafficking. you know.
Yeah. When your
She
father was part of a human trafficking
There you
ring,
go.
in fact.
Okay. Brett, he was
Yeah.
bestie with the guy who was known
Mhm.
for that. So she had to step down, right? So this is just going to keep going and going and going. Now there's a story that the
Mm.
girls might have to give up their royal homes. I don't know if they
Oh,
have a grace and favor home. There's a story that came
they
out.
do. They
Yeah,
do. So,
and maybe the titles. It's going to get bad, don't you
okay,
think?
let's go through this story as well,
Okay.
because this is hella interesting to me.
Yeah.
So, Charles made a deal with Andrew. Give up your titles. We'll let you put out that BS release where you don't admit any guilt and can't believe it, but for the good of the country, because you're so selfless, ugh, you're going to give up your titles and we're going to let Beatrice and Eugenie keep them, don't blame the children for the sins of their father. However, what's happened in the meantime, and I've talked to Andrew Lowney about this a lot, the children are not as innocent as they would like to seem. All right. So William, who's trying to do a very hard line, was furious at his father's deal. And he basically said, all right, girls, you can stay. We've got some forensic accountants who'd love to go through your accounts just to make sure everything's on the up and up. We're sure they are. We would love our accountants to go through that. And the girls both said, no way. At which point, William was like, ooh, red flag. Oh, man. All right. Ever since then, they've been dragged further and further. One of the princesses was $750,000 cash was flown in for some sort of birthday party. Andrew Lowney has told me they have also accepted cash and jewelry from randos that they may or may not know. Beatrice is now, she's also holding private teas in Saudi Arabia for the 0.001% of wealthy in Saudi, which,
Wow.
and they're looking just as dodgy as their parents. And of course, Beatrice has never been known, frankly, for her sense of propriety. She was the one who told her dad to do that BBC interview, and also has helped him with his PR. I mean, at this point, if you want any advice, don't go to Beatrice. But
Which was
yes,
really shocking.
they
Yeah.
both have grace and favor peppercorn rents at Kensington Palace and another palace. And people are like, why? They're not really working royals. Nobody
Right.
wants them around. They actually can't be seen out right now without being booed. Why are they living for free? This is not 1995.
Not to mention, I believe Beatrice's husband is very wealthy. He's a multi-millionaire. His family was property investors, I believe, and his father passed away. He inherited millions of dollars.
Hmm.
And I believe Jack Brooksbank, the husband of Princess Eugenie, he doesn't do too shabby. I mean, maybe he's not a millionaire, but they also have their own inheritances,
By the way,
millions of dollars, right?
let's be real clear. They're
Okay.
both loaded. But also, let's be clear,
Mhm.
Andrew was loaded. Despite crying penury, he did get tens of millions from his grandmother and from his mother and from selling his house to a Kazakhstani oligarch, shady billionaire. And he never spent a penny. So where'd all that money go? It's
For over
probably,
asking, by the way, he
yeah.
sold it for over asking, right? Couple of
He
million over asking, which a lot of people are like, why did you sell your house for over asking? What's going on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of shady favors, and the guy never lived in it. The whole house went to
Wow.
seed. But the whole point is, he has a lot of money. They just don't like to spend their own money.
Yep. Rich people, just like Harry and Meghan, they have money.
Yes, they
They're rich.
do.
They're poor rich. They're not
Mm-hmm.
billionaires. They hang out with people who are like uber rich, but they're rich. They have money. They'll
Well,
never be poor, but they like to use other people's jets, other people's homes, other people's
hmm,
businesses. Uh,
totally.
yeah,
It's a sense of entitlement.
so much. Yes, entitlement.
They're all born with this sense of entitlement. And I don't know if y'all haven't lived in England. I have. I have a British passport. The class system in England is rock solid strong. And the upper class, especially the aristocracy, have a
Mhm.
massive sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
And it's look at Harry and Meghan demanding and wheedling to get their British taxpayer security back. And you're like, dude, you left. You don't even work for the family anymore. Stay in America. What do you care? You didn't want to be there. But, England, which is having massive economic problems,
Mhm.
no taxpayer I know in England is like, yeah, let's pay for their security. Which something
Yeah,
they're paying now, it's around $2 million a year. And like, we don't want to pay
right.
for this.
We
Well,
know
I
what's
wouldn't
really
want to pay for it
funny.
either.
What's really
What?
funny is Harry outed
Mm,
himself. So if you remember, like 2 years ago, the story broke that
mm,
Harry wanted to go to the Home Office and he wanted to have the UK people pay for his security. Someone broke the story. He literally had the audacity, entitlement, sued them.
hmm
So that's not true. I was going to pay the Metropolitan Police. And they're like, you can't hire the police, you
Right.
moron. And he's like, no, but I really want, I'm trying to do the right thing here. I'm trying to pay the police. Then when he sat down with the BBC after he lost his
Mm,
appeal, he basically said, well, I'm the son of the king and you're already paying for it. So what's one more? And he
yep.
so entitled, basically busted himself stating that the people should pay for it because he's Harry, even
Yep.
though he quit the job. He's like, I did 30 years of service. I'm like, you just because you were born into the royal family, you weren't doing service, okay? So
Thank you.
he's so entitled and delusional. He thinks that it's his birthright. They have that birthright thing.
Mm.
And that's why Archie and Lily have prince and princess title because it's their birthright. So
By the
entitled,
way,
so
for
hypocritical.
now,
Yeah.
TikTok on that because
Yeah.
we know what William's going to do.
We
But
hope.
it's, Harry he's so shady. He then, Shabana Mahmood, I'm totally messing up her name. So any Brits out there, don't get mad at me. She's the current Home Office secretary. And he's been kind of wheedling and dealing with her, on one of his Ukraine trips. She was along. And after that trip, he was like, I've been assured they're going to relook into it. And then they did. And then in January, it came out, we've been assured we have the security, right? And you're just like, oh, God, really? Because y'all are so leaky. If you had it, we would know. And I think that's also part of these fake royal tours is that they're trying to show why they need security. Because FYI, it's not just for when they're in England. They want to be declared internationally protected persons and have the British taxpayer pay for security wherever they are.
So when they were in Jordan, who paid for that security? Was it the WHO? The World Health Organization?
It
Was
was
it the
most
government?
likely the Jordanian state and the WHO.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's the thing, it gets really murky when they do these trips
Mm-hmm.
and go to different foreign countries. They're not invited as state visits,
Nope.
but we all know someone is picking up the tab for those security things. And of course, James Holt, when he left working for Archwell, he's now a consultant, and they said when he left that he would help them with their
Mm-hmm.
tours. So we know he's going to be with them in Australia,
Oh,
coordinating
he
what.
was there in Jordan as
Yeah,
well,
he was
like
in
in the
Jordan.
background.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
oh,
So the thing is, Ivy House of Bark says, and the people should be happy to pay for him. Absolutely. So again, it's funny because Andrew Lowney has a book for what is it, Andrew and Fergie, called Entitled, but he literally could write the same book for Harry and Meghan. They're so entitled and
well,
hypocritical. It's
it's
disgusting.
actually interesting that you say that because Tom Sykes, I believe, is working on a book similar to that. So
Oh, okay.
it's going to be it's a jaw dropper. Tom is part of the Sykes family. They were anyone who knows history, the Sykes-Picot Accord is what carved up the Middle East and part of Africa. He's technically part of the aristocracy, but he's a good guy. He's like Zara and Mike Tyndall, right? Like we love those
Mhm.
two. Um, but he knows everybody and he got some serious sources. So that
Tom
will be,
White.
oh yeah, look, Zara and Mike. Yeah, we love them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Beatrice
But
and
by the
Eugene.
way, the family was not nice to Mike when they first started dating because they were like, what's the princess doing with like a rugby
Right.
player? What?
And they were not nice to Catherine. They were very
Oh,
snooty to Catherine. I bet they wish they were nicer to Catherine because they should have known one day she's going to be a queen.
yep.
I mean, hello, and it's happening sooner than we might think. So they definitely did not play their cards correctly. But I did find it interesting that You
Mm.
know, that Eugenie and Beatrice were basically at Christmas after their parents. They went to Christmas and they're trying to go
Yep.
to all these royal events. But now the rumor on the street is that they might be banned from Royal Ascot.
They are. Yeah, they were. So William was furious that they were invited to Christmas, right? He was like, this is not a good look. We are associating with the daughters of an alleged pervert, pedophile, whatnot, right? A rapist. We don't want this. Of course, Charles, who's a little bit, mm, people have called him weak, soft, whatnot, was like, no, 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 let's bring them in. And I think after what's happened over the last couple weeks, they were definitely, Charles has finally come around to William's side of things and been like, all right, you're not coming to Ascot. And the word is they're not allowed for any royal event for the next year. I mean, we'll see. I think it's forever, but we shall see.
Yeah, it's really sad. So
Mm,
basically, I think more and more stuff is going to start to come out with the royals and with
mm.
Fergie being a loose cannon. There's rumors she's shopping a book
Oh,
deal, and somebody said in the comments that
mm-hmm.
getting the money that she thought. What is your
Yeah.
take? Have you heard anything about Fergie and a book deal?
Yes, of course. Of course, it's floating around. The girls don't want it. She wants money. I think she's using it as like a, I'll do this if you don't get me this kind of thing. I mean, it would be interesting. You know, she was Diana's really good friend. She has a bunch of memories that would be interesting. So I'm down with that. Now, I do have to address one comment I just saw where it said Tom Sykes doesn't like William and he was kicked out of the Royal Rota. He was kicked out of the Royal Rota, but in England, and we have to be really clear about this, the English press is subservient to the royal family. Anyone in the Royal Rota cannot write anything that the palace, not William, the palace, King Charles, says is not true. And we know that a lot of stuff they say is biased. And so, yes, Tom was like, you're giving me this and I'm hearing this. Tom is very much pro William. And if, in fact, anything, he is stuck up for William over Charles and broken the story that there was the rift between the two. So I just wanted to stick up for my pal Tom. So,
Yes. Yeah. The thing is like as commentators, we're going to have opinions that not
mm-hmm.
everyone agrees with, but just because we report on stuff that may
Really?
not be pleasant, if it's the truth, it doesn't mean that they're against somebody. So I think
Mm,
it's people have their opinions, they have their favorites, and like we said, people just have
totally.
their own opinions, and we like Tom. So, and we
Yeah.
know that you collab with him like once a week, right? And
Oh,
so
yeah. No, Tom and I are, listen, I've worked with Tom for uh, decades. Trying not to show my age, but when I was at Page Six, Tom was also there, and we became very good friends. And I love
Mhm.
his sisters,
Yeah,
Alice, Lucy, Plum. They're the Bomba. The whole
yeah,
family is great, and I love his wife. I was, back when they were still girlfriend boyfriend. Um, so, and the thing is that Tom is an actual reporter. I'm an actual reporter, and by that I mean you actually have sources. You're like, what happened
mhm,
to this? Here's
yeah,
this. And you go out and you talk to people who actually
mhm,
know.
yeah,
So, it might piss some people off, and I've gotten the flack too, where people are like, that's not true.
yeah.
Megan, Netflix can't be done with Meghan Markle. They're doing season 2, you big old liar. And I'm like,
Do you want
girl,
to hear the
TikTok.
most entertaining thing ever? So I go on
Hmm.
TikTok,
Yeah.
and there's a pro Sussex channel.
Oh,
So
I
I
love it.
was trying not to laugh, and I try not to click. I don't want them to see me in there because I like to
Hmm.
be a fly on the wall. And they were like, and Megan now she can expand internationally. That Netflix is no longer going to hold her back. And I'm like, oh my god,
Back.
just the delusion. It's good comedy. It's good comedy. But
Yeah.
someone has a question for you. Let's see what it says here.
Oh, the
Paula,
Oprah?
yes, Paula, do you think Sarah will go to Oprah like she did back after the Cash for Access news of the world story?
I think there's a good chance, but only if she signs a book deal. So here's the deal.
Mhm.
It's like Meghan and Harry did Oprah. Oprah does not give cash. Oprah is, so if you do an Oprah interview, you ain't getting no money, right?
Wow.
But Oprah is massive promotion.
Mhm.
So Meghan and Harry did their interview for the book Spare. That was in promotion for Spare, and it was in promotion for the docuseries. So I think Fergie will do it if she signs a book deal.
And by
And
the way, the 5-year anniversary of Harry and Meghan's Oprah interview was yesterday. And today is the 5-year anniversary of the Royal Daily Tea. I literally started on March
ah,
10th, 2021, and I was going to show you all my very
stop.
first TikTok, which was horrible. But I'm a commentator. I'm not a journalist. I'm just a person who talks and gives opinions, right? So I always
Well, yeah,
quote,
you're the person who's like, hey,
yeah,
something don't smell right.
that's
Can
right.
we, what's going on? And that's why people
Yeah,
watch you and listen to you, because you're like,
exactly.
that didn't sit right. And even
I,
though everyone says
mhm.
it's so great, no.
It's not. And
Mm.
I'm just a girl from Texas, found a great community of people here in Megxit, people who were like me, who were like, I don't like Meghan. Why don't I like this woman? I didn't know why I
Right.
didn't like her. And then I found, according to Taz, was like, why I don't like Meghan Markle. And I was like, oh, I found my people who think like me. So, we love having people with other opinions here. You guys break the stories, and it's very important. So this Missy Lulu says, I love listening to everyone's
Oh.
opinion. You get pieces of news from everyone. Exactly. But the funny thing is, we all kind of say the same thing. Like, we've been taking for you and Rob and Tom Sykes about the Netflix deal. We've been preaching it for years, and it was true. So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the truth comes from what we read in the tabloids, right? So,
Well, we're living in an age of spin,
yeah,
right? And we're living in an age of spin and of demagoguery, where people like Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Megan's fans, you can't say one bad word because
yeah,
that's their idol, but
yeah,
here's the deal. These people are not gods. They are fallible, and they do F up, right? And it's also, no, source is not illegally gained information. We are not
it's
British
somebody
blagging
talking.
on, we're not blagging on people's phones, FYI. No, source is you call someone up who knows, and they're like, all right, let me set you straight. Or you go out to coffee and they tell you. That is totally legal. It's like chatting with your girlfriends. It's just that these people seem to have a job that works with people.
Right. Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
So, yes, we need to get that straight. The illegal stuff happened only in England, and massive blow ups still blow up about it, as it should be, because it makes us
Let me
all
ask
look
you,
bad.
what is your
Mm.
take on the whole thing with Harry? Do you think he's going to win this court case? Do you think the Daily Mail has a stronger case than Harry? Because it's hard to prove that there was illegal activity when a lot of his friends were talking, right?
They were. So here's the deal with the Associated Newspapers, which owns the Daily Mail. There are about 6 defendants. Harry's specific case, there's like 14 articles he went up and said, these must have all been illegally obtained. Now, they have proven that 13 of them were clearly not obtained illegally. There is only one article that looks like it could be a little dodgy. All right. So he may get something on that one thing. But again, there are 5 other complainants, and they seem, Elizabeth Hurley has a very strong case, for example. Some of the other ones have a stronger case. Elton John and David Furnish have a stronger case. Harry's case is not that strong. And they've also had the journalists in court, Katie Nichol and Rebecca English, I believe. So Tom has been in court every day for that and has been reporting on it. But yeah, I think the judge also is not a fan of Harry's and this group. Before they actually went to court, the judge berated all sides and said, why is this going to court? You've wasted tens of millions of pounds and the public's time. You should settle. Obviously, Associated Newspapers is not going to settle. They're like, nope, we didn't do anything wrong. And obviously, Harry's side is not settling because they truly believe wrong was done. Now, I don't know if Harry's case is that strong. Maybe he has one little part of his case that has some sort of, Oh, a question. If you don't have to verify or name a source, what does that mean? It means that the source would get fired and never work again if
Mhm.
I name them. And I
Right.
ain't doing that. But I know that the information's true.
Right. And a lot of times when I do my videos, I'll say Neil Sean says or source says. But you guys, I've been doing this for 5 years, and 90%
Mm.
of the time, those sources are correct. They're
Well, and
people who
also
work in the household.
look at people's track record, you
Yeah.
know? Like
Hmm.
I have a pretty great batting average for the
Right.
last, I don't know, 25 years.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's up to you. Listen, I'm not gonna fight for someone to believe what I write, but I'm gonna let y'all follow it and be like, oh wait, this turned out to be 100% true.
Exactly. And that's why our channels do really well because we take public opinion,
Mm.
common sense, couple that with news, and it's pretty
Hmm.
obvious. We all knew the Netflix deal wasn't going great. We've all known that As Ever is not doing great. I do a business analysis on her As Ever business because I do have a business background. And again, everything I've said is proven correct because it's common sense and you can look at
Yeah.
it and see Netflix would not be handing out free product if they were making money.
No,
Okay.
and not only that, but the whole BS of, well, we sold out. You can't say it's not that, but it was a limited edition. Now, listen, if I
Yeah,
want to sell socks and I only have 5 pairs, I'm going to sell out too.
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's great that we have people like you and
Mm.
our lovely friend Rob Shooter and Tom Sykes reporting Neil Sean. It's great to have those inside scoops from people
Yeah.
in the know who have the connections because it is important to get that news out there because of all the PR spin. Because Harry and Meghan's team, they're working overtime. I mean, Sunshine
Oh,
Sacks,
God.
ever since they hired Sunshine Sacks, it is, oh my God,
Rehired.
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 Yeah. Have you heard anything about that? Is it going well with Sunshine Sacks? I mean, I don't see it lasting. I say a
Honey,
year. A
well, yeah,
year.
we're going to find out in about 6 months to a year. But at this point, I mean, Harry and Meghan can't afford
Mhm.
to, reputationally cannot afford to go through another PR company. It's pretty interesting.
It is. This person says, but Harry is accusing journalists of obtaining information illegally, whereas the journalists say it's sources. That's confusing.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what went on there. And you, again, I'm going to say you should look at Tom Sykes because he breaks it down. He is in
Mhm,
court every day.
mhm.
Harry was saying, how would they know that I was dating Chelsea Davy? You know, except for if they had illegally gotten that information. And one of the journalists who wrote the story said, uh, you said it at this fire pit with 10 of your friends, and I spoke to one of them who was there.
Right.
So Harry said, no, they would never say that about me. But guess what? They did. It's like what I always used to say. If there's more than 3 people in a room and something happened, that's going to get out because one
Mhm.
person might keep their mouth shut, but the other person is going to go to someone and be like, dude, you're never going to believe what just happened last night. And
Well,
then
they
that person
yeah.
is going to go to someone else.
It's called "You Didn't Hear It From Me," but and
Mm-hmm.
that goes to the next person because no one can keep tea. No one can keep
It's
tea, guys, especially if it's really
no,
juicy
everyone wants to
or
feel
healthy.
like the most informed in the room. And, you know,
That's right. So I wanted to thank some people really quickly for some super chats. Carol, thank
Mhm.
you for the 4.99. Says Michelle has been on fire past couple of months with amazing guests. Yes, I would say so. Carol, again, for a $5 super chat, another dumpster fire year for Harry and Meghan. Absolutely. Teresa,
Mhm.
thank you for the $2 super chat. She says, hello, hope all is okay. And Carol, again, 4.99. Love Paula's article on how to move forward, and too bad they won't listen. Awesome.
Thank
So,
you for reading that. I did give $50,000 worth of free advice to Harry and Meghan on what
all
they should
right.
do, but I knew that they wouldn't take it.
They never take it, right? So, you
Correct.
guys, you have to go check out Paula's YouTube channel, and we do have the link here in the description. Go over and subscribe to our lovely friend Paula Froelich. She does the scoop. She has an amazing Substack as well that you should definitely go over and check out. But Paula, what do you have coming up next that we can all check out?
Well, I was on Newsnation this morning talking about Timothée Chalamet, and I've got a huge piece coming out in the Times of London this week about that. Then I also have a piece in the New York Post coming up about the billionaire's obsession with Masters of the Universe babies. and how they only want really, really rich people to have babies. When people like Elon Musk says, everyone should, we're having a drought of babies, everyone should have more babies, he doesn't mean regular folk like us. He means rich people, because
That's
they
weird.
want to create a whole, it's like the movie Gattaca, like this class and then the regular class. It's insane. So that'll be out in the New York Post. And, I'm looking into some other stories about some crazy celebs. J-Lo's house still ain't sold.
Oh, okay. So
I
everybody,
mean,
she's got lots of hot tea, lots of hot
mm,
gossip. Go
mm.
subscribe to her Substack. It's free. You won't be disappointed. Check out her YouTube channel. She's also on News Nation. What days are you on News Nation?
The morning show Wednesday through Friday, or Wednesday through Thursday, Sunday. Again, you guys, I'm so sorry. This is like,
It's the daylight savings, whatever it is. It's screwing everybody up.
how is it twice a year? I'm like, my name is Sally. What the hell? I mean, you'd think at my age I'd be used to it. I am
Yeah,
not.
me too. Yeah, me too. Okay, so she's on Sunday through Wednesday on
Wait, no, Wednesday through Sunday.
Wednesday through Sunday, News Nation. And then she's on her YouTube channel doing quite a few things. And I believe you have a new show on Tuesdays with the Vintage Read.
Well, once the first Tuesday of every month.
Yes. Awesome. So you guys need to go check her out. She does amazing work. We're so glad that you're here. You have to come back. There'll be
Yes,
lots
please.
to talk about. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for supporting me and my channel. I can't believe it's been 5 years and we still have plenty to talk about.
It's amazing.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. And I'll see you next Sunday with Rob Shooter. So make sure you check it out. We're going to do an Oscar special. So make sure you tune in for that.
It's going to be good.
Bye, guys.
Bye.